You are now listening to the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello and welcome to They Live by Film, a platform. There's a lot of words I know for this. A film discussion podcast made for interviews from around the world. That was completely wrong. I'll get it before this is over, but here I am with my host, Chris Haskell, who is probably about as sick as I am because of all this weather. How are you doing?
Yeah, man. If I sound congested, it's not because of us butchering the intro and the outro. I'm yeah, I don't know what it is, man. I guess it's the time of year or something, but I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Does it like I know you live like closer, you live closer to Middle Texas, right? So
Yeah.
does it what is cold in like the middle of Texas?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we get like 4 days a year where it drops and stays below zero. So it's not gonna happen in November.
Yeah.
We get it was like 78 today in the as a high.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So it's like we get a couple weeks of fall, and then usually it feels like fall for Christmas, and then January is where it gets cold.
I don't think it's a ton different here. I mean, obviously our temperatures are lower. Like today, we're in our 40s, but like our worst weather always comes in like January, February.
Yeah. That's very similar, I think.
Christmas, snow on Christmas is not a thing that I remember.
No, I can't imagine it's ever gonna happen here. I mean, you can never say never, I guess, but
I
um,
mean, it did snow in Egypt that one time in my life.
speaking of, yeah, exactly. Man, I'm ready to gush a lot, but I know before we get into the most mature and high budget part of Tobe Hooper's career here. What have you been watching? You've been so busy lately.
Ooh, let me actually pull up my diary. I know one thing. I've actually went through a bit of. It's funny because we did a Charles Bronson run for the podcast, so this wasn't
Mhm.
exactly planned because that was like months ago.
Uh-huh.
But I randomly decided to go through the entire Death Wish franchise.
Oh hell yeah.
So I
Mhm.
watched all those within like 3 days, and then I watched his movie Death Hunt, which has Lee Marvin in it. I don't know if you've seen that one. And then I watched the White Buffalo, which was very strange, but I really liked
Oh
it.
man, I can't. Yeah, I love the White Buffalo.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because like from the cover and everything, I was like, oh, cool. Charles Bronson fights like a Jaws buffalo. That sounds awesome. And then I'm like, this is not what I thought it was going to be about. But the
I know.
animatronic for that buffalo was dope.
It's so cool. I love that movie. Yeah, I have our good friend Tumbleweeds, and what is it, the Western podcast?
Yeah, the one I've done with Hunter quite
I
a
don't
few
know.
times, and TV Cowboys, Tumbleweeds and
Tumbleweeds
TV
and TV.
Cowboys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was so sweet, man. He reached out after one of the episodes that we did about Bronson, and he's like, "Man, yeah, this is September. It came out mid-September. I'm just on his site." And he's like, "Man, you didn't get to watch like because we were lamenting about not watching those westerns, the Bronson westerns, right at the end of the episode."
Hmm.
And he's like, "Let's do it." So we were gonna try to find a red, white, and blue theme, but we got red sun and white buffalo in there.
Ah, it's so close too. Isn't that annoying?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
annoying. But yeah, because Bronson did like, I don't know, like five westerns in the 70s, and then he just never did a western again.
yeah. He it works for him too. Like between the spaghetti westerns and then I mean, I guess both the Red Sun and White Buffalo are not traditional westerns, so I don't know if he ever did a traditional one, but
I mean,
um,
he did one with Leone. That's spaghetti though. And
yeah,
Death Wish is kind of in that urban western
that's true.
kind of thing, closer to Dirty Harry. I think we were talking about that before the podcast.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, he's. I think I understand why people love him so much. He's such a good screen presence, and he just seems to choose interesting movies all the time. Like there's something interesting in all of his films. So
I did want to call out one thing, which is off the Bronson thing that I watched recently, just because I hope more people watch it. Are you a Deathstalker fan? I cannot remember if you're into like sword and sorcery.
No, I think so. Okay, generally speaking, of all the fantasy genres, that one interests me the least.
Okay, so you're not really into Conan or Red Sonja or anything like that.
Well, like that's the thing though, right? Like if it's gonna be Conan, like yeah, like that's an awesome movie. And like Willow is an awesome movie, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know if that's pure sword and sandal though. But they're like I can get into it. It just has to be good. I just don't like the standard genre fare. And I think Deathstalker for me fits into that standard. Like there's just not it's a kind of a mean-spirited movie. And I just didn't get into it. But Deathstalker 2 is fucking awesome. I love
So good. Yeah, I didn't like Deathstalker 1 either, but I love Deathstalker 2. There's just the guy who plays it, his name is escaping me right now, has like so much presence.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And I was like, why? It was a mistake for them to switch directors and actors after the second one. Like they figured the tone out. They were like, you figured it out. This is the tone these movies need to be. And they're like, nah, we're not going to do that. But I did watch the 2025 remake, I guess you can call it. The guy who they got to do, I feel like you may have watched PG Gorman or a Psycho Gorman.
Oh yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he made the new Deathstalker movie, and it is so good.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Fantastic effects. Like, the dude's mostly an effect guy. It was weird watching a Deathstalker movie where there was no nudity. I was just like, I think this is the longest I've ever sat during one of these movies at like the 15-minute mark. And I was like, there's been no nudity in this.
Yeah, no, so okay. I mean, I could go on for another hour on Jim Wynorski and why I love him so much,
Mhm.
but Chopping Mall is the movie he kind of got put on the map for, and then he did Deathstalker 2 shortly thereafter, and he used one of the knuckleheaded teenagers from Chopping Mall in Deathstalker 2, and I just think it's such a brilliant casting choice. Um, and I love Jim Wynorski's sense of humor. So, anyways, yeah, that whole movie is just flawless to me. But I'm excited to see the new one now. If you're saying the Psycho Gorman guy is behind it,
Yeah, like I don't know what the budget was for the new one. But it's humorous. It's a lot closer to two than it is one.
good.
It was just weird that it wasn't sleazy. If it was, I know we don't do as much sleaze in the year 2025. I think I would have been a little bit happier if it was a little bit sleazier because even the second one's sleazy.
Yeah,
It's just a lot more good spirited about it
yeah,
than the first one is.
yeah. It just has fun. It knows it's being ridiculous, right? Like it's just like, hey, this is really funny, and like let's
Uh,
have, or I don't know.
yeah, and like I remember like when I was watching the credits, they do like all the bloopers, and the last blooper they kind of freeze frame on is the main girl naked, and
Yeah,
the blooper she had there, and I'm like, yeah, that kind of sums it up.
exactly. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Man. Okay. So
What have you been
Deathstalker.
watching? Yeah,
Death,
because
Death,
I've done plenty.
it's a good question. I've been really watching like this has been a month where I've barely been able to like focus on anything outside of work. So it's been really I haven't watched a lot, but it's all been Vinegar Syndrome stuff. Um, so it's interesting. Have you ever seen a movie called King of the Gypsies?
Uh, yeah, I was looking it up the other day because is it Vinegar Syndrome that sells that one?
Yeah, it's another cinematograph one. Yeah.
Who directed that? I was looking it up the other day, and now I'm blanking on who it was.
It's the guy who wrote the screenplay for is it Godfather? Hold on. It's a guy that wrote the screenplay for
Mario Puzo wrote Godfather, so
no,
I
yeah,
don't
no,
think it's him.
no. No, 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 no. It's Frank Pearson. He wrote the screenplay for Dog Day Afternoon.
Oh, okay. Okay. That must have been what I recognized. I was like, something about it like caught my attention when I was looking it
Yeah.
up.
It's the most strange concept though, because it's like, let's take The Godfather or Scarface or like that type of film and set it in the gypsy community, which it's just like no one's asking for that movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, it, there's not enough history of the like gypsies in America. And I know that that term is even slightly outdated now, but like that it's all over the movie. There's no way to really talk about the movie without mentioning it. So forgive me if anybody's offended, but like there's not I never had any specific reason to be interested in that community. So it ends up becoming like let's say, Scarface or something, and with a combination of My Big Fat Greek Wedding or something that's all about a culture, but not
Right.
not a comedy. But they spend a lot of time just on like the culture aspect, you know. Um,
Yeah, and I mean the of course it's vinegar syndrome, so the packaging really caught my eye. But I was like, I've been tricked by this before, so
yeah, let's see what's really good from that. Oh man, I have to talk about Larry Fessenden. So that's the one I want to focus on now because I knew I liked Larry Fessenden movies, but I hadn't seen them in years. So have you seen either Habit, No Telling When to Go, or The Last Winter?
well, me and Ryan from Disconnected actually did an entire episode on all the Larry Fessenden films.
For the Reconnected?
Yeah, yeah, we did it. That was I think that was the episode before last. Episode
Okay.
before last is when I did that. So yeah, I've seen all of his movies. I'm a huge fan.
Oh man. Okay, good. I can't wait to watch that then because that dude is so fucking talented. Like he's just a filmmaker.
Yeah, and the nickname he's given that I've always loved for him was the patron saint of indie horror, and I think it just fits him really well.
Well, it's interesting though because that phrase that means something. Like indie horror in the sense of that time in the 90s and early 2000s where indie productions were still getting $1 million or $2 million, right?
Yeah.
Because like The Last Winter is a beautiful movie. Just the some of the special effects are a little cheesy, but the movie itself is like the outside shots they get, the way, the framing, like it's a professional production. It's so good. And like he seems, I don't know. I am obsessed with him after watching these four again.
Well, and one thing I love about Habit, I'm a huge fan of Habit, especially, and No Telling's my favorite from him. But the thing, I wish he would star more in his stuff because I think he's a very good actor. Like when you watch Habit, you're like, this dude's got a good screen presence to him. And I mean, obviously, he's been a cameo in 8 million films. I mean, half the time you watch a movie, I mean, I watched Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm like, there's Larry Fessenden. I think he's on the radio if I remember correctly. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
Larry Fessenden. Yeah. Like, I know him.
Yeah,
But
especially because Scorsese likes him so much. So he's in a lot of his stuff. Yeah, no, he's um man, he's a fascinating director.
I think the interesting look from him also helps like quite a bit. It makes him stand out.
Yeah, that's true. I actually just think he's like, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I could see him in a lot more movies, but I just, man, he's just such a talented. I think if he has any weakness, it might be in his writing. Like, I don't know.
He's on the nose. I don't
Yeah,
find it to be a bad thing, but he is not hiding what his films are about.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But I'm with you. I don't. It doesn't bother me. But if there's anything that could be improved, it might be the writing. But from a just a pure like filmmaking perspective, the man, I think he's a genius. Like he really just. We haven't even, the Depraved didn't even come out as part of the set. It came out as a partner label release. But I can't wait to revisit that because I remember that movie is amazing.
Watch that and Blackout. Blackout was the last one he did, and it's got this cool. I won't spoil it, but he uses like rotoscope animation to like save some money, like because it's a werewolf movie, and it's really well done.
Cool.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Let's see. We could easily make a Fessenden podcast, but very quickly, I'm catching up on a lot of trauma stuff through Vinegar Syndrome as well, of course. So I've been lucky enough to revisit Sergeant Kabuki Man and Romeo and Juliet.
Ah,
Which,
early gun.
oh yeah. Um, Love them. And then, oh, have you seen Ruby, the Exorcist ripoff?
I have not.
Man, it's awesome. It's just such a goofy movie, but like, I mean, I don't know. I would love to see what you think about it. I think I had a great time with it.
I'll have to add that one. Let me see. You said it's Ruby, right?
Yeah. So imagine the theme of it, or like the story, is a woman watches her husband get shot down by a group of gangsters. Okay, and then fast forward, 30 years or whatever later, she's running a drive-in movie theater. The people that work in the drive-in movie theater are the mobsters that shot her husband. Which,
Jesus.
like, why? Anyways, and then everybody gets along. They're actually really good workers. Like whatever. They're not portrayed as like trying to undermine her or anything. Like maybe they feel bad for her. I don't know. But maybe they're in like witness protection or something. I don't know. And then he comes back and like haunts the things, right? And anyways, it's just a crazy, it's a very Vinegar Syndrome movie. It's like one of the most Vinegar Syndrome type movies.
Oh, it's
Um,
directed by the guy who did Whoever Slew Auntie Roo. I have seen that one.
oh, I haven't seen that. Is that good?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's like a early proto slasher
Okay.
sort of thing. But yeah.
Awesome. Then the only other thing I just want to call out is, the guy that did Rikio.
Yeah.
So Lam Choi, he's the Vinegar Syndrome and 88 films have got most of it, or like a ton of his catalog now. And there's another one they just put out called Men from the Gutter, which is just fantastic. Have you heard of this thing like Gun Fu instead of Kung Fu?
Yeah, yeah.
Just a brilliant like Gun Fu movie. Just like so violent. The last 20 minutes has the craziest set pieces, and like the violence just goes on and on and on. But like it's not as outlandish as some of his later stuff. Like this is an early movie for him. It's not a fantasy film, like it's more just sort of like a crime, like a triads kind of crime, story. But man, it's really good. I loved it. I'm gonna probably watch it again with a commentary. Sam Deegan does a commentary on it, and I kind of want to watch it again right away.
This feels like something that should be on Tubi, but it is not there.
Oh yeah, I'd be surprised if it's not on Tubi. Actually, that feels like a good sweet spot for it.
Yeah.
Maybe possibly the Arrow Player. Arrow Player is pretty good for this type of stuff.
Who put that one out? Uh,
Vinegar Syndrome. Men, yeah,
Vinegar Center put that one out. Okay.
Men from the Gutter. It's yeah, so it's through their Shaw Brothers line. I guess they got a few Shaw Brothers movies.
Everybody's got Shaw Brothers.
Yeah,
We went from
exactly.
no, we went from everyone having a noir set to everyone doing a Shaw Brothers
Yeah,
set.
exactly. Yeah, I could go on and on, but I mean that's the biggest thing. Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Well, with that, should we get on to I guess, the feature presentation here?
Yeah, and I just want to like warn people at the top that if you don't like Tobe Hooper, like maybe shut off now because I'm mostly just gonna gush for the next hour or whatever, hour and a half. Like this is such a man. I am so I can't remember exactly how we landed on Tobe Hooper, but like, thank you for bringing this up because man, I am having a blast.
I think it was one. It's like I've seen a lot of Hooper films, so it'll be less things for me to do. So for the second episode, which I think we've agreed is going to be five. So we last week we got into his introduction. This week we're doing his next five, which is his TV movie Salem's Lot, 1981, The Funhouse,
Mhm,
the infamously famous Poltergeist, and
mhm.
then two of his three canon films with Life Force and Invaders from Mars. So we're going to start with, I guess this is his first TV movie since Peter, Paul, and Mary, but this is his first time and an actual a TV movie people will watch. So this came out in '79. This is really fucking long. How long is this one? It's 3 hours long. If I had to guess, this was a 4 or 5 night event from at the time. I'll read it in case someone doesn't know what the hell Salem's Lot is. Ben Mears has returned to his hometown to write a book about the supposedly haunted house. When people around the Marston house start dying mysteriously, Mears discovers that the owner of the mansion is actually a vampire who is turning them to the army of undead slaves. So I do want to give some context for Salem's Lot, just as a big King guy, because I think it's very interesting. We think so much about vampires in the modern day. And with Salem's Lot, it's not I wouldn't I'm not going to go ahead and say it's the first one in the modern day, but it's really an early one that got very popular. It's such a common thing now, but at the time, vampire movies um, were period pieces. You know, they were gothic
Right.
films, and the idea came to King when he's like, "What would happen if Dracula was in like modern day New York City?" And his wife jokingly said, "You know, he'd probably get hit by a taxi." But it kind of stuck with him, and it ended up being one of his first early books, and in my opinion, one of his best books, where King is really good at mixing the all the history about Jerusalem's Lot and or Salem's Lot as the film likes to call it, and you know the actual horror elements. I think he balances it better here than anywhere else. So what did you? I don't. Is this going to be on any of the like they shoot zombies or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember watching Salem's Lot, even though and thinking as I was watching this, like, man, this is really good for a TV movie. And then I feel very justified in this opinion because they shoot zombies has it in the top 200.
Really?
Yeah.
I really didn't expect it. I like Salem's Lot, but I really didn't expect it to be that high. That's
Yeah.
kind of crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's a beloved miniseries. And even They Shoot Pictures does have it on the list. I shouldn't say obviously, but it's not that high. It's 6,688. But
And it's a TV movie. I mean, I can feel like for horror critics, they would definitely because horror's got a big spot in like TV movies,
right.
but not necessarily for critic lists for just all movies. They'd be like, it's a TV movie. I'm not counting that.
I think that there's like a natural bias almost, right? Against that kind of stuff. But it's I had a great time with this, man. I think it's really fun. And I hope people give it a chance if they haven't seen it because first of all, the budget was $4 million, which is kind of crazy.
Well, you need. I'm actually going to look and see how many episodes this was. I know this came out over several nights.
Yeah.
Because
But
I was a kid. This is a little anecdote. So I was like 5 years old in '99 when Storm of the Century came out on television. I
okay.
distinctly remember like staying. My mom was letting me stay up a little bit later so we could watch Storm of the Century when I was a kid, and that's a,
Okay.
a huge early memory for me.
That's awesome. Do you just the TV was basically on and you stayed up to watch it or
No, she let me watch it with her.
oh she was watching it.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
she was letting me watch it with her. Because yeah, back then, I mean, you know, that's all you had to. You didn't have 100 other distractions. So it was me, my dad, and my sister and my mom. We just stayed up and watched the next episode because I think it came over like 4 nights, if my memory serves. So it'd be like from 8 to 9 or something, and they would play an episode of Storm of the Century.
That's cool.
So I was sitting here trying to see is a 3 hour two parts. So it was only over 2 nights. Interesting. I'm trying to remember in this one where it cuts because it's got to be near the hour and a half. Is it after the kids would be the cut? Maybe
I don't know exactly. Yeah, I'm trying to okay, 1979. How bad were they with commercial breaks at that point? Because weren't they
not that bad. In all honesty, just because like I've watched like old westerns and it's like 52 minutes, and I'm like, wow, there's only 8 minutes of commercials.
in the whole thing? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Now I've watched shows that are hour long and you get the DVD and it's like 38 minutes long.
Right, right, exactly. Um, anyways, yeah, I don't know exactly when it was cut, but it was a pretty high budget. $4 million is pretty high for So the interesting thing is he goes from the last thing we saw from him was Eaten Alive, and then we talked about how he was replaced on The Dark.
Hmm.
But he goes from that to a $4 million prime time made for TV miniseries of one of the most beloved authors at the time. Um, and it's a pretty big jump up for him. And I didn't feel any. like awkwardness or any sense of lack of control or like I don't know, I mean I think he nailed it.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely a different production type of production when you're going from um film to television, especially at this time. We kind of homogenize that a lot more nowadays
Right.
than back then. Back then you kind of just did one or the other because they were almost considered different mediums. But I mean, you look at what he did here, and I always think to look back at these guys like De Palma and Hooper who took on King so early in his career, and they're really the ones who kind of set the stage for what Stephen King would look like on screen.
Yeah.
Like, I still feel like even today, when we see a King adaptation, they're pulling from things like Salem's Lot or Carrie
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
how like what the the visual language is
Right.
for King.
Yeah, it's so tough. I mean, we were just talking about King a second ago as an author. He's so visual in his writing. He feels like somebody who's going to be very difficult to adapt every single time, right? Um, and
Well,
I
it's
think
like people said for years, Gerald's game was impossible to adapt.
yeah,
And obviously that was wrong because Mike Flanagan killed it, but that's normal. But yeah, I mean, I think there are certain novels that are weird. Like I think The Stand I like the miniseries of The Stand, but that's a hard story to adapt to the screen.
he he creates these situations that are just so like they don't fit, and he throws in random characters, and he throws in there's like a levity to some of the stuff he adds in, but he writes it in a way where it's not goofy, where he's serious, and it's just a he shouldn't he's somebody that shouldn't work as well as he does.
And this is the era of cocaine, so it's some off the wall shit at this era.
But I mean, at the core, this is a vampire story, right?
Yeah, it's Nosferatu. I mean, you look at like the design for uh Straker. Yeah,
Yeah,
Richard
yeah,
Straker, Richard K.
uh-huh.
Straker. And I mean, he's just like it's weird because the idea was Dracula in New York City, and he really takes Nosferatu and puts him in a small Maine town. Real
Yeah.
shocker there. But I love the design, and I wish I could remember because it's been so long since I have read Salem's Lot. I'm like, is that how he's described in the book as well? Like, if it's not, I think it was a good decision by Hooper to make him more like Nosferatu, just because I think it's a creepier type of vampire.
Yeah, yeah. He James Mason's a funny um choice for this role, I think. But I think he does a good job.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, he's kind of an older actor, right? Because I mean, you think about like his big roles were like North by Northwest, and he's in Lolita and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting to see like later in his career him take on something like Straker.
Yeah, he's asked to kind of be like um Christopher Lee or one of these.
That's a perfect comparison. Is like Chris really because I mean you look at the cast and I mean it's a solid. There's solid cast here, but it's nobody whose name is necessarily going to draw.
No, 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 no. Yeah. This guy Lou Ayres is good. Lew Ayres. He was the main guy in All Quiet on the Western Front. That
Yeah,
was he's what, like 70 at this point.
yeah, and I mean, and they all have like they were all character like almost like character actors. I guess if that was considered
Yeah,
a dignifier at that point.
really young Fred Willard.
Oh yeah, Fred Willard is in this, isn't he?
But no, but you're 100% right. I mean, a really young Jeffrey Lewis. But you're right. Nobody's here is going to be in 1979. Nobody here is going to be, calling people to the screen like James Mason would.
Yeah, and I think he brings a lot of like physicality to the role. I couldn't even guess how old he is at this point. Actually, he was born in 1909, so he is 70 years old when he plays, and he's probably like 69 or so when he plays in Salem's Lot. And I mean, he brings a lot of physicality to that role in the sense that like it's a lot of body language for when you do see him. Um, it's a lot of I don't know if subtlety is the right word but I don't know. It's a much more visual performance.
Yes. I yeah. I think I like the way that I like the thing that or I like that you're calling out his physicality. I think that's right. There's certain like Werner Herzog did a good job of this whenever anytime he put in Klaus Kinski in a role. I think there's certain people that sort of embody their roles, and I don't want to make it seem like this is an all-time great performance or anything like that. I mean, it's a good, solid, made for TV performance. But
You
I
know,
do,
I got to take a done moment that I had that I almost said, and I'm really glad I caught myself, and I'm going to say it anyway. I was thinking, Klaus Kinski would be really good as like a Nosferatu like vampire, and I'm like, I'm an idiot. He was.
well, but in another way, you're exactly right. He would be. That's a funny story. I would love to do a Werner Herzog run with you one
That
time.
would be weird. God, that'd be some weird episodes.
Yeah, the Klaus Kinski he is such an enigmatic character. Just really, really, really. I don't know if it's drugs or if his personality was just out there, but I cannot imagine that him and Werner Herzog made so many movies together. Just sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah,
Um,
one of them is probably hard enough.
yeah, exactly.
The poor other people on set.
Yeah, exactly. The stories of Klaus Kinski and when he was in the role of Nosferatu are wild and just worth a read if you want to go on a rabbit hole.
Well, it's like a Guire. Like, I'm honestly shocked that Herzog didn't just like shoot him before he left.
Oh, 100%.
Like he threatened to. You might as well have. Because I always
100%.
love that from Herzog. He's like, if I shoot you, nobody will care. He's like, yeah, he's correct.
Um, so James Mason does a good job. He's not quite as out there as Klaus Kinski, but I think this is a memorable vampire performance, like a memorable Nosferatu performance, and it's perfect for the format of the made for TV like format.
And this is a little off, but I know we're both big Larry Cohen fans. Did you ever happen to see Return to Salem's Lot?
No, but I wish I didn't. I ran out of time. I was gonna try so we could talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I have not seen it either, and I really want to just because I really, really like Larry Cohen.
I
And it's
know.
got a weird cult following. Like, I remember years ago, people said, oh my God, Return of the Salem's Lot is so terrible. And over the last like 5 years, I've heard people say, you know what, it's actually pretty good. And I'm like, okay, I like Larry Cohen. I'm fine with that.
Larry Cohen can do no wrong.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he just brings Michael Moriarty with him.
Yeah, yeah. There's another good run we can do one day.
Yeah, Larry Cohen, God, it'd be a
Um,
wild one.
so there's something that I think Stephen King does really. We're going to talk about some themes of Tobe Hooper here in just a second. But one of the things that Stephen King does well is I think he writes in characters of writers into a lot of his stories,
Mhm.
um, or musicians or artists or creative people.
It, it's a lot of self. He likes to self-insert. He
Yeah,
to a degree. Like I think he does a good job of not every writer that's been in his stories is just Stephen King, but it's a part of him.
yeah,
Like there's a part of of Stephen King and Ben Mears.
exactly. And I think, especially knowing that this is his second novel, he's still kind of finding his voice a little bit. Um, but we were talking about Fessenden earlier, how Fessenden made, a vampire movie. His take on vampirism. I think he has maybe three. He has two for sure, but um, these different takes on vampire stories. And I think this is, Stephen King's take on Nosferatu and vampires in the Midwest and kind of an Americana twist on it. And it's clear that he's a fan of horror movies. I think it's clear that he's a fan of Americana, although we discover that throughout all of his writing. And I think if you look at the perfect, a good director to adapt Stephen King, we said this about Tobe Hooper last time. He imbues Americana into his stuff. Like it's more of a Southern twist on it, but most of Tobe Hooper's early work has that feeling of the South in it, right? So I think he would naturally get Stephen King's writing a lot because they're coming from a different part of America, but they're writing from like a cultural perspective. That's like a part of the character of their stories as much as the characters are, I think.
And honestly, now that you say that, I've never really thought about this, but sometimes I kind of feel like Salem's Lot feels like it'd be in like a more grassy part of Texas
Yeah, yeah,
than it
yeah.
would be in Maine. Like when I think about how Maine looks in other Stephen King movies, I don't know, there's this like 16 millimeter dreaminess to
Right,
Salem's Lot that I associate with Texas just because of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
right. But that's what he knew how to write, you know? Um, and Tobe Hooper, I mean, that's what he knew how to write and shoot. So I, he's gonna like he's notoriously stubborn, right? We've been talking about that even a little bit, and that's gonna come up again in this episode and probably the next one. So he just kind of writes and directs based on what he knows, right? So he's in some way he's the perfect guy to direct Stephen King or adapt Stephen King, I think, because he can't help but make it his own, even though he's such a smart guy. He's obviously going to understand what Salem Lot is about, and I think that shows up well in this story.
Yeah, and I mean, you kind of think it's like what Texas Chainsaw Massacre is. You know, it's a bunch of people who go to this house they really shouldn't go to.
Yeah,
And in a lot of ways, that's what Salem's Lot is. I mean, obviously, the
yeah.
problem is the monsters inside these homes aren't going to like let people be alone, but like the characters almost put themselves in the situation.
Well, it's an interesting thing because you could make an argument that the people in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, although they're vicious killers, they're not bothering anybody unless they come to them, right?
Yeah.
Like they're not even honey trapping anybody. They're just
Yeah. I
there.
mean, obviously they're, because I guess where they're getting their meat from is like recent corpses.
Yeah.
And that's how I've always interpreted that. Now, we didn't talk about that in the last one, but I mean, you think about like every character in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's just one at a time going through that fucking house, getting horribly killed. The next one comes in looking for the last one. That's all of
Right.
them do it.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's similar here, and that theme is going to come up again in Funhouse too. Like he writes from like a certain place, um, but I think that when I'm learning about Toby Hooper, although it's not on display as much here, this is a muted version of him. But when it does go vicious, it's still fun. It's still playful and fun, and you can tell this guy's got a he loves the macabre, you know. And I think
Mhm.
that when the movie has these flashes of vampirism or flashes of death, you get to see I think enough of that Toby Hooper kind of personality come out, where it's probably a little bit shocking for television, like right on the edge for being a little rough for television.
Oh yeah, I agree. And I mean, obviously, we talked about it with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. One thing that might actually benefit Hooper as kind of as a guy who kind of knows what he wants. Like I think back to with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, him being on the phone with the MPAA, asking them questions about what he can do. I can kind of see a similar scenario being on the phone with the FCC saying, "Can I do that?
Exactly. No, it's
Is that
really
all right? Like if I do that, am I gonna are y'all gonna cut it?"
right. Yeah, I think I have to imagine that's true for a lot of the stuff, the big budget stuff he's working on, especially the stuff that we're going to get to here where maybe he didn't have as much of a creative voice. Um, but what else is there to say about Salem's Lot? I mean, I don't know if there's anything else I really feel need to talk about right now.
No, no, I think that covers it. I think it's absolutely like I doubt with Salem's Lot. I think it's probably the most famous, if unless I'm forgetting an obvious one, a horror TV movie of all time. Like
Yeah,
it's gotten individual releases. I don't know how many times, and
sure.
you see like Storm of the Century, which is another, and Rose Red, which were two big miniseries for King, still haven't gotten Blu-ray releases. But Salem's Lot's
Interesting.
gotten plenty of Blu-ray releases.
Sure. Yeah, and it'll sell out every time.
Yeah, like it's been a big part. So yeah, with that, I guess we can move on when he goes back to theatrical work. So he kind of didn't get a theatrical movie for five years after Eaten Alive when he got to do the 1981 film The Funhouse, which does have a little bit of ties to Poltergeist because there was some questions there if he would have time to do both, and he did ultimately have time to do both. So we did get to do the Funhouse, which is about rebellious teen Amy defies her parents by going to a trashy carnival that has pulled into town. In tow are her boyfriend Buzz and their friends Liz and Richie. Thinking it would be fun to spend the night into a campy funhouse horror ride, the teens witness a murder by the deformed worker wearing a mask. Locked in, Amy and her friends must evade the murderous carnival workers and escape before it leaves the next day. Whoever wrote that for Letterboxd, you do not have a minimum word count you have to hit. You could have said that in half the amount of
Yeah,
words.
that's true.
Like
That's
Jesus.
true.
So Funhouse. I have always placed this as in a weird spot for Hooper where I think it is a fantastic movie that's gotten a lot of love, but I still don't think it's gotten the amount of love it's deserved to have. And I think it might be because it's like that weird child between like when he did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, his TV movie for Salem's Lot, and Poltergeist.
I guess so. But
Because it
dude,
feels
this
overshadowed. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I feel like Funhouse gets overshadowed.
so okay, I want to answer that question, but I do want to say, critically speaking, he's still getting a lot of love. So this is number 354 of all time on They Shoot Zombies.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I would have it higher, but I can get down with that.
I think I would have it higher too. I'm going to talk about how much I love this movie in a moment. Unfortunately, it's lower than Salem's Lot on They Shoot Pictures, which is weird for me, but it's 8,218.
That's just
Um,
really low.
yeah. Man, the Funhouse is like if there was a movie from this week that we watched where I would say stop everything you're doing and like watch it, it would probably be the Funhouse. Like I think eventually in life you're gonna see Poltergeist, like even if you haven't seen it yet, you
Yeah,
know. And
yeah.
like maybe if you seek it out, you might see Life Force. Like it's not gonna you don't have to go down that many rabbit holes to figure out that you want to see Life Force or
It
not.
got 80 fucking releases at some point. I mean,
Yeah.
Life Force is just there.
Yeah, exactly. And Invaders from Mars might be the weakest of this bunch, although I'm gonna defend it. But the Funhouse is just every second is great. Like there's no wasted screen time. Kevin Conway as the Barker is one of my new favorite horror characters. Like just man, I actually watched it twice for just
Really?
I just
That's
loved it
awesome.
so much. Man, this movie is phenomenal.
I'm really glad you enjoyed it because I think it's Hooper played around a lot with slashers, but I think the thing that kind of made him so good when he kind of delved into it is none of his are typical. Like he's just a guy who, like, when I think of Funhouse, I think TCM. It's really not him following any sort of rules about what a slasher film is supposed to look like. Like I'm honestly kind of surprised with like Funhouse reminds me in a lot of ways, and this kind of stay with me here. It reminds me a lot of like 2000s slasher movies.
Okay, in what way?
It's got like this weird like if it was made in the 2000s, it would have had new metal to it, and it would have weirdly
Oh,
worked. And
um,
there's something about it, and it's kind of hard to explain, but it's got like this right like temperature of meanness to it, but still playfulness in a way. It's really hard. I think that's what makes Funhouse interesting. It's because I think he's playing with a lot of different stuff. It feels so simple, like on the outside of it, but I think it's got a lot of different elements kind of going on and working on all at once.
oh yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I'm thinking about. I'm trying to picture this with a new metal soundtrack. Sorry, you got me going down you got me going on a tangent. It's hard to suggest something like that to somebody with ADD because now I'm trying to picture.
No,
Um,
yeah, it's like I think it's part of me is also when it comes to the 80s, I kind of think you lose a little bit of weird edge in the 80s. Like it's a
yeah,
lot
right.
more, yeah, as compared to the 70s.
Yeah, but not this.
No, I think there's a lot of edge to Funhouse, and I wonder if that's why it kind of got. I don't know if it was ignored. I don't know what its box office numbers was, but it's one of those, like I said, it kind of feels forgotten
It
for Hooper at times.
so it did okay. it 2 million budget, 8 million box office. So it did
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
he was profitable.
Yeah, it did okay. But I do think this movie is under discussed, 100%. And does run the risk of being forgotten. And it absolutely needs to not be forgotten. Like I think that what I love about this is I actually think this is a perfect double feature with Texas Chainsaw.
Would you say
Because
more than Eaten Alive? I'm just curious.
honestly, like maybe triple feature, they're all different, but like
Well, I guess they're taking two different elements. Like you're having like the more monstrous element here, right? Like
yeah,
with the killer, and you think about Leatherface, and then
I,
Eaten Alive just kind of takes the vibe of
yeah,
Texas
yeah.
Chainsaw.
No, that's a good way to say it. Yeah, they're going after different things. But like if Texas Chainsaw is like a complete look into Tobe Hooper's psyche, then some of the movies he makes afterwards are like fragmented parts of his psyche, right? And I think this one to me is the most paralleled to Texas Chainsaw because if you like a carnival is a family, right?
Yeah, yeah, I like that. Yeah,
And so they are really like and these this group of unsuspecting teens is going into a dysfunctional violent family and you, there's just enough where chainsaw they're kind of they'd have no idea about the danger they're in, but it's they all the warning signs were there. They're just kind of as a teenager you're just invincible, right? And I think that same theme is here. Like carnivals can be scary places except that they're not. Like you don't actually have mass murderers running around most carnivals, right? And so they're always walking that thin line of like they're kind of this little bit of that element there of like there's a horror show going on, even though it's not. It's just exciting and interesting. But it's not hard at all to make that leap for it to be terrifying.
you
Uh,
know, and it kind of reminds me too because I was thinking about this with Salem's Lot. I didn't bring it up, so I'm glad because I think it fits better here. Hooper shoots a lot of horror in the day, and I think Funhouse gave him kind of a that yin and yang opportunity from like Texas Chainsaw to Funhouse, which is so much night.
oh, I like that a lot.
It's
Yeah,
a lot of night going on in Funhouse, and
there
he's
is.
really good at shooting at night because like there's an atmosphere with like it's just a there's nothing besides like a small town carnival atmosphere. Like it
Yeah,
feels like I'm at the carnival.
yeah, and like I think he's also, there's this whole. You're just giving me a bunch of ideas here. 100% agree. I love the yin and the yang analogy, and I'm also thinking the way that he used masks, both in Chainsaw and in here, because nowadays in a lot of new horror, like a lot of recent horror, there's some kind of mask, right?
Mhm.
And that's been there throughout horror a little bit, but I think he uses masks as well or better than anybody. Um,
Well, I think he changes the reason you use it, right? Because like
yeah,
most of the time, if you're Michael Myers, you do it to hide your identity, or you
right,
just so your real face isn't shown.
right,
And in the sense, you look at Leatherface, it's almost a shame. And the
right,
same thing with the monster in Funhouse. It's he's deformed as well.
right,
It's to look more normal.
right, right. Yeah, the horror is right underneath the mask, right? But then in Funhouse, he does a good job of having a lot of false starts with masks.
Yes, yes. The first
Um,
30 minutes of this movie, I think it's a good idea. It is slow. Like if I were telling anybody to watch Funhouse, like the first 30 minutes is a little slow. It's
yeah.
purposeful, and I think it's fine, but I would tell somebody that it does pick up a lot after the first 30 minutes.
Oh man, it just descends into hell in a way. But like that's another thing that he does so well. Like he kind of crescendos well, right?
Yeah, because I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the same way. I'm
Yeah,
actually glad you made the comparison because I never thought about it. But yeah, they're almost paced the same too.
yeah, really. Um, like this is kind of Texas Chainsaw and a carnival, but I just think I would never say that the Funhouse is better than Texas Chainsaw because that's just categorically not true. But I do think that this movie is really, really good. And it's a horror movie that has so much going on. Like, I don't even know the best way to describe it, but like if you're drumming, you'd be like one, two, three, four, and then you get into like triplets, and it's like one and two and three and four and five. It's almost like he's playing the whole thing in triplets or something. It's just like there's no, you don't. There's always something visually happening. I know what you mean that the first 30 minutes is maybe a little slow, and I guess that might be true, but
But
it
I don't think it's a negative. I don't.
no,
I just I think people would go in, and I think it's just that Hooper's a little art house. I
yeah.
think he's actually good at making commercial films, but I also think he's good at tricking people into watching art house films.
Yeah, that's what happens here, I think, because you get there's like if you watch it twice close together, there's a lot there's like a little toy that's just rolling by, or there's like a mask, or there's like a cut to a knife and a mask, or like there's just always something happening. Like there's no wasted frame, I don't think, in this. It, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't I like I was blown away by how good this is. Really, like the Scream Factory cover for this, I think it's Scream Factory, right?
Yeah, the
Um,
one with like the Jack in the Box thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It didn't really pull me in, and like I don't know. I didn't know what to expect. But man, yeah, this movie's amazing. I love it.
I need to pick up the 4K from this. But yeah, I actually think there's a better covers for this. I don't know I'm actually curious. I'm going to look and see what the original poster. That might be the original poster art.
There,
Apparently it is. Yeah, that's just the original poster art. Interesting. I feel like it almost makes it unassuming in a weird way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true. There's one of the alternate posters is like the blood dripping out of the mouth makes it look like a vampire story. That's okay. Um,
I got the one I actually have. This is not, no one's going to care besides us, but the one, if you're looking at it, the almost looks like a carnival flyer where it has like the fun house and it has like the deformed dude having like behind the girl with his knife on her
yeah,
neck.
yeah, 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 yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
that's what I use. That's the one. I don't know. For some reason, that's like I need something chaotic when it comes to Hooper, and I'm like that fits.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, his films are organized chaos. Um, there's just one like I don't know if it's like a scene. There's a lot of scenes we could call out, but there's something that happens early on in the film where they're watching this magician, and his tricks are to like run knives or like stakes through a cabinet,
Yeah.
and there's like a young girl in the cabinet, and he jams this stake in there, and her mouth starts bleeding, and like the way that it's done, it's really hard to know, even in the story, if it's real or not. And I love that because it's like he, Toby Hooper shoots the macabre in a way where he's just like having fun with it, but it's fucked up. Like he he's just so comfortable in these like really dark, scary moments. And I think that uh, not Poltergeist. I think the Funhouse is another great example of just him having fun in like really dark parts of his brain.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I think it's cool that he does this right before what I'd say is a really light, kind of light era for him. Like when we look at like really his next four films, they're a lot more humorous, in a sense, or they're a little bit lighter. So it's kind of cool that he got to do this one right before he got into that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's almost like he got one for him, and then he goes on this run of one for us, but the one for us are all really good. Um, do you? I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say on Funhouse? I mean, this is one I would say people go stream it if you don't want to buy it, but like watch this movie if you like horror movies. It's just such a great horror movie.
No, I agree with that completely, and I didn't want to go too much into scenes because I think that's kind of the thing I found kind of tough when we talk about Hooper is you're like, well, I don't want to give up the like cool set pieces because
Right.
that's kind of what he thrives in that quite a bit, and I'm like, I wouldn't want to spoil that if you actually haven't seen it.
Right, right, right.
So I guess we'll go on to what will probably end up being a super long discussion
Oop.
on his next film. After he was doing a little bit of work, he got approached. Him and Spielberg met for a meeting to talk about doing a haunted house film, in which they did the 1982 film Poltergeist. Oh, here we go. I guess we'll go through the technical parts of this of where it lands.
Sure. So, where is this freezing on me? Okay. It's the 31st best horror movie of all time.
Say that's a little high, but that's fine.
Right around the birds.
I don't
Scream.
think it's quite as good as the birds.
Yeah. Um,
I like it. I'm not going to sit here and bash Poltergeist. I just hint for discussion later.
yeah, we can. Interestingly, I don't know what it is about mainstream, well, forget mainstream, movie critics that don't give Hooper enough credit because this is only the 2033rd best movie of all time.
Really?
And I don't know, like this has all of the, like, I don't know, it just should be higher in my mind. I don't know how else to say it. It should just, this has enough of that thing that mainstream audiences really latch onto and love. And it's a perfectly designed movie, well shot. Like it has everything in it that I just feel like it would be higher on a list like that.
So I've been debating, should we go ahead and like talk about the big elephant in the room with Spielberg first or wait?
No, let's maybe end with that. I think if it's okay,
Okay.
because
Yeah, that's fine. I was like, I don't want it to be an overly distracting, but I feel like we also can't not discuss all the stuff with Spielberg.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, um, look, 1977, Spielberg made Close Encounters of the Third Kind, right? And
Boring fucking movie, but yes, he did.
successful though.
Yeah, successful for sure.
And by the way, this was successful too. $10 million budget, $120 million take.
He made $120 million. That is insane for the era.
Big,
Like for a
big,
horror
big,
movie.
big, big budget. Big box office. Yeah.
That's crazy. I knew it was big, but I didn't know it was that big. That is
Yeah.
crazy.
And also plays into something that I think is a shame. Like Tobe Hooper's movies always made money.
Yeah,
And
he figured out how to make commercials. Like they weren't massive, usually massive, but he made commercial films.
and that the fact that he didn't get more chances just blows my mind because like the guy knew how to make movies. He was a film student guy, like film like a film school guy. Like he just knew how to make this and he was good and he was as talented as the top horror directors of the time. And the fact that he doesn't have 40 movies in his catalog now, maybe he didn't want, maybe he was picky, which if that's the case, fine.
Well, he spent some time having to sue MGM like for this movie, like for things they said. So that ended up, I think, causing a big like this movie should
Oh,
have opened him up to so much,
I know.
and it didn't because it was mirrored by controversy pretty much its whole early part of its career. If
But
it wasn't that, the whole Spielberg connection, it was the film is cursed.
well, speaking of curse, so just real quickly, because I'm sure most people have seen Poltergeist, but the basic premise is that this family has a young girl. She starts talking to the TV, the static in the TV, right?
Mm.
She some series of happenings. She gets sucked up into the TV. They have to call in a medium and a parapsychologist, I guess. And
Mm.
she's a great character. I don't mind if we get into her, but I like the way they write her because she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Um, but in you start to see the forces that are like in and around this house, and as the movie goes on, you understand why it's haunted and like why there's this tension between reality and the ghosts in the house. I guess it's at the core, it's a ghost story, but it feels a little bit more than that. Um, but you end up having this family that's basically trying to get back and get their daughter back from a world they don't understand, from a like another dimension. It kind of seems
Right.
right. So that's the basic premise, and it's a very family driven story. There's a lot of these emotional beats, which I'm sure is why people attribute this to Spielberg in a way, because there are some moments in here that do feel like him a little bit, like
And
the
it should be noted he did write the screenplay.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you can kind of tell, right, because it has a lot of his trademarks in it with the way that their like sentimentality kind of weaves in certain spots and stuff. But there's also a ton of Toby Hooper prints like all over this.
Absolutely. 100%.
I don't know what else there's to say before we get into the controversy. I mean, I imagine of all the ones that we're going to talk about, this is the one that most people have probably seen, right? Um, but I like Funhouse more than Poltergeist for sure. Although
Me
this
too.
movie,
And I rewatched this for Halloween because I have not seen it in really, I was probably a kid the last time I saw this. And I do like it. I do think the movie's too long. And it's really just for me, I'm like, does this movie need to be almost 2 hours? I don't think it does. I feel like it's a little long. I think that's more of a scripting issue than a
yeah, yeah,
directing issue.
yes, I agree.
I think it goes on for way too long.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I
But I
still
mean,
like it. Everything about it. I mean, I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 because I really enjoy it.
sure.
But I was getting a little exhausted by the time the movie was about over.
Well, not only is it Spielberg written, but this is an Amblin production, right? So it's kind of
Yeah. I think it was called Steven Spielberg production at the time, but yeah, it's an Amblin film, more or
got
less.
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I don't know, man. This is Tobe Hooper stepping up into prime time, right?
Yeah, and I'm it's and I don't think and obviously he does not get enough credit for the success of this film. I mean, I don't know how many times I've read, oh, I thought Spielberg directed this, and then it gets into a long amount of comments of people saying, well, Steven Spielberg actually did direct this film. Tobe Hooper was on too many drugs, and he didn't actually direct any of this movie.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. So let's get into the controversy then, because um, I mean, yeah, I mean, Hooper is a documented, um, fan of the botanicals.
Sure. I mean, even the scene where is it the parents that are smoking weed? Like that's them actually smoking weed.
Yeah,
And that was
right.
not, and this is something we'll get into too. That's not in the script.
Right.
That's not in there. Like you can read the script. It's not there.
Yeah. I mean, the commentary, again, I'll point people to, if you ever want just a funny commentary, listen to the commentary for Eggshells, because Toby Hooper's a weird dude, man.
Yeah.
Like, he's a
He probably
crazy guy.
fried his brain a slight amount.
But anyways, this movie, I disagree that this is a Steven Spielberg movie, to the core. His flourishes are in it for sure, but
I
um,
think it's just unfair. Like I think it's so unfair to Hooper.
yeah.
Tremendously. And I mean, the thing that kills me, and this is for anyone for some reason who isn't aware of this, the accusation is essentially that Steven Spielberg ghost directed this film, and Hooper was just there because Spielberg was not allowed to direct a film the same year he was making something else. I couldn't tell you what that movie is right off the top of my head, but essentially the studio told him he could not direct both. So Hooper was just there, so I don't know, he could do it. Which would be really weird that you get like you see this in Marvel, and I think this has kind of been exasperated because Marvel has admitted to doing this, where the producers actually made the movie and they just put a director's name on it. That does happen, but you don't pick directors who are well established. Like you're talking about the guy who just made the successful TV movie Salem's Lot. You have the guy who made Texas Chainsaw Massacre, even at that time was considered one of the best more recent horror films of the time. And I mean, he just had a financial hit with Funhouse. Why would you choose him to ghost direct? It doesn't make sense, and it really bothers me. But there have been a few people on the cast who have made the accusation. Famously, the one of the production designers apparently said that he saw Hooper, famously did not like Hooper when he made this accusations. That should also be noted. And the girl who played the medium also said that the 6 days she was there were filmed by Spielberg. She did correct herself and say, well, Hooper shot all of it and he set up the camera, but Spielberg would make slight changes. And I'm like, so Toby Hooper directed the movie,
Yeah, exactly.
was what you're
Exactly.
saying. And a lot of this comes from apparently on the first day of set. There was a little bit of issue where Spielberg is a very overactive on his sets. He's very into it. He's very particular. And Hooper is a much more laid back guy. He's much quieter. So Hooper would say action, and then at some point Spielberg would say cut. And this happened a few times and ended up causing issues. And I want to say it was the girl who played Diane Freeling, Jo Beth Williams, who said, "We need a real director. This is not going to work." And she said that Spielberg never did it again. And a lot of it just seems, when you listen to what the cast talks about, it seems very much that Spielberg was a little like, when he was on set, he was kind of high strung. He was a very involved producer because it was his script. He had never let anyone direct one of his scripts before, and he has not done it since. If he wrote the script, he directed it. This is the only exception.
Yeah, Brian Usna is accused of this a little bit as well, although he's not a writer. But he's as a producer, he's always on set. Like there's an interesting story in that movie Ticks. Have you seen that?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Where he saw the monsters and he was like, no, 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 no. They got to be at least 5 times bigger.
And it's like, what?
And so like you do get these producers that know how to direct, and they're obviously Spielberg knows how to direct. We're not going to debate that. But it's not fair just because you have a vocal producer. It's not fair to take credit away from the guy who's there
There
mapping
every day. Like
every
there's,
day.
yeah, like you can look at every behind the scenes thing that's ever been taken. Hooper is at every single one of those locations, and Spielberg isn't. Spielberg was actually busy with another project at the same time and had to leave a lot.
E.T. is the one you're talking about, by the way.
Okay, he had to leave for ET several times. There was even one where they were doing a big, expensive stunt where they had basically turned the room on a gimbal. And actually, a producer had visited the set that day, and they even noted that Spielberg was not there during that. It was Hooper who was there. Like, and almost everyone who's ever been asked about it said the same thing. Tobe Hooper was the director. Tobe Hooper directed the movie. And we're talking 40 years later. People are, if he really didn't direct it, I feel like you would have more concrete evidence. And there's too much in here. Like Spielberg, if you read his like screenplays and then you see how he directs, what's on the screenplay is what gets shot. Hooper is not like that. And there's a lot of scenes that aren't in the script that he shot, like the famous weed scene. He shot that. It's not in the script. Spielberg would not shoot that scene because it's not in the script. I think it's just, yeah, a laid back director had to work around a very active producer. I think is all we really have here.
Yeah, it's an even interesting comment to talk about Hooper being a laid back director, because I guess we brought this up last time as well a little bit when we were talking about like like comparing him to David Lynch, not in the movies he makes, but in the way that Lynch was like soft spoken,
Mm-hmm.
but he had a clear vision on what he wanted. And I think Hooper does, it's one of the things that's obvious to me is that Hooper doesn't struggle with confidence.
No, no. I mean, it doesn't even seem like he was intimidated here. It seemed like, I mean,
Yeah.
this is probably the biggest production he's been involved in, I would say at this
Yeah.
point. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I mean, he was involved in every script. Like he was supposed to do a partial writing for the story for the screenplay because it was him. He's the one who brought the idea to Spielberg. It was not the other way around. They met for lunch. And Spielberg even let Hooper come to meet George Lucas when they were filming Indiana Jones, and he said, "Hey, this is the guy I got to direct Poltergeist."
That's awesome.
And Hooper was there. I mean, he was involved in every piece of production of this. Now, he was not there for the edit because he had to do something else. Spielberg oversaw the edit, which I think makes it feel a little bit more Spielbergian at times because it's not. Hooper apparently did have a rough edit, and then Spielberg actually did the final edit.
Okay.
And I think, from my understanding, that's how it went. And I think, yeah, Spielberg's going to go with his own edit. He wrote it.
Sure.
Yeah.
As he gets into the more supernatural elements, I do think it feels like the ending, especially, I do think it plays more closer to a Spielberg movie.
It's so big.
Yeah,
It's very spectacle heavy.
it's spectacle and it's not mean spirited. Like, I'm not saying that Toby Hooper is a mean spirited person, but he's so comfortable in the macabre. And I think Spielberg movies, there's always a way out, you
Yeah,
know?
like, do we really think the family is going to fucking die?
Right,
No.
right, right. But if this had been a Toby Hooper script, or like something he was much more involved in, the final edit, maybe there would have been a little bit more sense of dread as it gets in those key moments where they were trying to pull the daughter out of that world or something, or some character would have died unexpectedly or something, there would have been something in there that made it a little nastier, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's just like, he's doing his job as like in technicality, he's the director for hire. And he is working with MGM. And, obviously he's still trying to. I mean, we talked about it last time that he had desire to be a commercial director. That was
Yeah,
his desire.
yeah.
And this is his chance. Like, this is his chance to make studios notice him more.
It's just too
And
bad that he got into all the trouble with them because I mean he did it.
yeah, and what it was is the rumors had already started circulating that Spielberg actually directed it, and MGM heard about this, and they said, we can, take advantage of this, and when we advertise it, we can call it a Spielberg movie. And Hooper got pissed, and he sued MGM and won
That's interesting.
because they lied that he didn't make the film.
Right, 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 right.
And even years later, I mean, we're talking like Hooper is one of his last interviews. They ask him about Poltergeist, and he has adamantly said, "It's my movie." He has always said it was like his movie that he made.
Yeah, but see, that sucks to have to like even defend it, because he like one thing I think that seems true for a Hooper movie is he seems to really care about it. Like he puts himself into it, you know?
Yeah, like I mean, I mean, a lot of directors for hire, if that's what we want to define that as, at the least charitable. I mean, usually don't care about it. If they say, fuck it, whatever the studio wants to do, I got my job. I got my payday. I'm out.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
But every time he was asked about Poltergeist, he said, and even Spielberg, by the way, for anyone who doesn't believe it, Spielberg has even went on record saying he did not direct that movie.
Yeah.
He said he
Yeah.
wasn't even there for half the shooting days.
Yeah, so it shouldn't even be a controversy really, I guess.
I think people, and I think this goes with a lot of conspiracy theories. I think people like the idea of the theory better than the reality.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like they're like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if Spielberg had this secret movie that he actually made the whole time? Like that sounds cool. Then Spielberg was kind of a dick as a producer at times.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, man, he's a type A guy. He knows what he wants. And I think this movie does the final edit, I think, explains a lot because that's what I mean, the editing room is where the movie's really made, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I've always heard the idea that film is three storytellers coming together. You have your writer, your director, and your editor,
Mhm,
really telling three different stories. And you're
mhm.
hoping by the end of it, it turns out okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of directors, you look at the Coen brothers, they do all three. They have a lot of control over their films.
Right, right, right. Yeah. And Spielberg is somebody that's been able to achieve that. I mean, not many people have. It's hard to get that, right? At the end of the day, the studios are going to think they know better unless you just prove that you know better. Um, I'm thinking of someone like Wes Anderson. It might be better for him to have some intervention at some point. Um, but he's achieved that level of, control as well.
Yeah, I mean, at least with the Coen brothers, they've had a very consistent multi-decade career to
Man,
fall back on. Hey, we're good writers.
no matter how snooty I get about like wanting to go more down the rabbit hole of like deep cut directors and stuff, Coen brothers are just such great filmmakers, man.
They're likable. That's all it takes. They're just super likable. They make likable movies
Yeah, so
that
so
are really
talented.
well done.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about on Poltergeist. Before we move on to the next one, I did want to just very briefly touch on Venom.
Okay.
Venom is a movie we don't have to talk about a lot, and I'm
Okay.
assuming you didn't get to see it, right?
I forgot. I'll be honest, I forgot about
No, we said we
it.
weren't going to do it, but I happened to
Okay.
have some extra time just at night, and I decided to put it on. Man, this is another one of these movies that I'm surprised. I think it came out from Severin, and it's a perfect Severin or Vinegar Syndrome movie because the premise you're just like, what the fuck? like it's a home like it's a movie about thieves that come into a home and have like a evil plot to kidnap and extort and escape with a bunch of money, and they're using a kid and an old man who lives in this house as their captors, right?
Hmm.
But the movie takes a bad twist for the killer or the kidnappers, because the little boy is obsessed with snakes and or loves animals, I guess, and he goes to the market to buy a snake, and it accidentally gets to be this deadly black mamba, like one of the most poisonous snakes in the world. And so there's this tension that's created because you have the kidnappers who are trying to negotiate with the police, and then you have this snake that's going around biting people, and they're basically dying within minutes of the snake bite. um it's
I
such a
should have watched this. I should have. That sounds
it's
like
a it,
dumb, and I love it.
it's a fun movie, and it's just such a weird premise. Like, why were these two things need to go together?
It was Blue Underground, by the way.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, Blue
It
Underground.
just
And then
came out this year on 4K because this was the movie that needed a 4K release.
I liked it though. This has absolutely no touch of Tobe Hooper. Like I think
This
he
was the
was
one they refilmed everything, right? Like
exactly.
that,
Yeah.
they didn't
It
even keep anything.
No, it has absolutely none of his signatures or anything. And in fact, it was directed by Piers Haggard, who's a very prolific director in the UK, and this is a fully British movie. Piers Haggard, he was probably most well known for The Blood on Satan's Claw.
Yes, yeah, I own that and still haven't watched it.
Oh, it's great, man. You'd love it.
I
Um,
remember I like FOMO bought that. It was probably one of the first things when I first got into boutiques. I FOMO bought it because they had that limited slip of
yeah,
who sold that.
yeah. Seven.
Severn sold it. Yep. Yep. So yeah, I have that slip cover, and I bought it that many years ago, and I still haven't watched it. But yeah, I need to sit down and watch it because but the only thing I will say is kind of interesting is this is you say it's a very British movie, and of course Hooper is about to go a little British for a
Yep,
minute.
yep.
Yeah. When we get into probably one of the craziest films of his career, which is Life Force in 85. So he does Poltergeist in 82 and he moves on. What year was Venom? Was that 81, 82?
81. Yeah,
Okay, so he did it. He was supposed to do that right before Poltergeist, I guess.
that's right.
Okay, so he actually takes a little bit of a break and then kind of gets in with Canon Films, who um, very interesting distributors. I think back the way people look at A24 and Neon and Blumhouse now, and I'm like, that's kind of what Canon was. Like you
Yeah,
saw Canon Group, you were like, this is going to be interesting.
yeah.
Like so his first foray he made ended up making three films with them, and we'll talk about it a little bit, like maybe a little bit more with Texas Chainsaw Massacre since that was his last one. But I really think if Cannon Group doesn't go out, Hooper is probably makes that for the rest of his career, or at least a big chunk of his career,
Right.
because they gave him a lot of freedom. So with
Yep.
85, he did Life Force, which we'll get into the technicals there, but it's about a race of space vampires arrives in London and infects the populace, commencing an apocalyptic descent into chaos. This was an expensive fucking movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. $25 million budget, which at the time is pretty big, especially for a British film.
Especially
Um,
for space vampires,
Space vampires, big for Canon.
which is the novel in case anyone wants to ever read it.
Hilarious that this is based on a novel. Um, and unfortunately, this was a bomb. $11 million take.
But I do wonder if because we're right at the beginning of video sales. I wonder how it did on home video because I mean, obviously Canon, I mean, they didn't give him this much money again, but I mean, he makes Invaders from Mars, which we'll talk about next, and he made Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 with them,
Yeah.
and those weren't low, but they weren't nothing budgets. Like they obviously enjoyed working with him.
That's a great point. This was peak VHS era.
And the movie is about a very attractive woman who walks around naked the entire time. I feel
Right.
like it's perfect for the VHS market.
Yeah, I that's actually a really interesting study because I've tried in the past, I've tried to look up VHS rental history and stuff.
I don't even know if they would have kept up with it.
No, I think it's just too hard, you know.
I'm sure there's an
Um,
accountant who could tell you when a movie was in the green.
we need to
But
try to interview that person. Yeah.
yeah, like that's if you were the accountant for Canon, you might can tell them when it went green, which maybe not. They went out of business, so maybe they weren't very good at that.
They just one day were surprised by the fact that they had no more money. Steve Railsback is one of the stars here. I love him. And have you ever seen The Stuntman by chance?
I have not, but I've seen him in The Devil's Rejects of all things.
Oh yeah, that's such a great movie. But yeah, Railsback he's like an actor. He's like a proper actor. Um,
He played Charlie Manson in a movie,
yeah,
and I
I think
think that
his
actually is what got him the role for this, if
okay.
memory serves, is his performance in Helter Skelter.
I believe it. He's in Turkey Shoot right before this, which is an Australian movie we covered. Do you remember the
Oh
um,
yeah,
Brian Trenchard Smith movie?
I forgot about Turkey Shoot, man. Yeah, that's a weird memory being brought back. He was in that terrible remake of Vanishing Point. Man, we got to bring Vanish. We're just getting all the highlights from our previous episodes. This dude's been all over the place.
But yeah, I mean, he's been in a ton of exploitation movies in that throughout his career, but he's a like a proper actor, and I think he brings a lot of personality to all of his roles. Like even in Life Force, I think he does a good job. There's he's a very memorable character. I think.
And I did want to note because I'll be honest, this is my second time seeing Life Force, and I liked it the first time, but I
Mhm.
was like, it's fine. Like I like it. It's neat. Yeah, Matilda May looks nice, you know.
Sure.
But earlier in the this month, I ended up watching quite a bit of like 1950s horror movies, sci-fi movies and stuff like Thing from Another World and Abominable Snowman, Quatermass Experiment. And I think I really came to appreciate that a lot more, like this one a lot more because of that.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you're saying because this is shot in the style of like a lot of those 50s and 60s sort of sci-fi kind of fantasy type movies, right?
Yeah, like it feels like a very British
Yeah. Yeah.
production 50 sci-fi movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And it really does. Like as an homage, like when I first watched this, I hadn't seen that many of those movies. I may have seen a few here and there, but not really many. I really didn't fully understand what he was going for. I'm just like, man, this movie's fucking weird. Like, and I mean, and I give so much credit to like Canon. He's sitting there making this movie and he's like, can I shoot it in 70 millimeter? And they're like, sure, man. Shoot it in 70 mil. Let's give you the most expensive film stock we can with the most expensive cameras. And you make this movie that's going to be cut all the hell in the US.
Well, but maybe this is where he was able to use, maybe this is an example where he was able to use the success of
Poltergeist.
Poltergeist a little bit,
Yeah, I
right?
can see that. Maybe this
'Cause-
is the one time it worked out for him.
yeah, because 25 million is a lot for a Canon movie.
Yeah, I would love to go through like a deep dive of their budgets. I do have to ask though, did you end up watching the UK cut or the US cut?
Oh, I don't know.
How long was the sequence of them discovering the space vampires? Was it kind of a longer sequence?
Yeah,
Yeah.
longer one.
Oh, great. You watched the good version then. Because that was an issue I think I had the first time is I think I watched because Scream Factory only has the US version, I think.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then Arrow put out both.
No, I watched it, I streamed it. I'm pretty sure it's yeah, it was a long cut.
Yeah. Okay. I think it makes a difference too because like they just cut out because what it was is it's right at 2 hours. And I believe if I remember from what I read, producers basically told Hooper, like, hey, you can keep this for the UK. The US is not going to be okay with an over 2 hour movie like this, so you're going to have to cut it.
Interesting.
But he did. He oversaw the edit, so I mean, it's not like they cut it all to pieces.
This has a lot of fun horror tropes in it. Like, for example, the if your soul transfers to another body, then like it's hard to track the source of the evil, right? Because it's like changing bodies over time.
Yeah,
Like this has a lot of fun horror tropes in it. I think people that you like people acting a little strange all of a sudden and not knowing exactly why.
Have you seen, you know what it kind of reminded me of? And me and Adam actually talked about this on the Radiance podcast. Have you seen Messiah of Evil?
Oh yeah.
It reminds me like the vibe of Messiah of Evil. Like when I watched it, I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's just got that like pervasive weirdness in it.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's like
sure.
the whole time, like some of this stuff doesn't even make sense, and it's like that's fine.
All right.
It's all a vibe.
I I actually I really like that comparison. Man, I just while you were saying that, I just looked up where this fits on They Shoot Zombies. Man, this is weird. Okay.
Okay.
So I want to take us on a very 10-second detour, very quick detour of Tobe Hooper on the They Shoot Zombies list because this is interesting. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, number 4 of all time. I
Yeah.
mean, anything in the top 5, you're going to make an argument that it could be number 1, whatever, right?
Yeah. I'm okay with that being at four.
Poltergeist at 31,
Sure.
Salem's Lot at 200.
Okay.
Then you have, we haven't gotten to it yet, so I don't want to spoil it. One of the movies from next week at 285, or next episode, 285. Life Force at 316.
316 is actually a pretty good place for Life Force. It's interesting he has so many in the top like 500.
Yeah, I was gonna say then Funhouse at 354, and then Eaten Alive down at 800. But like he has like we talk about him not being or him being underappreciated, and I think that's true in the sense of like the broader cultural context. But I guess looking at these lists, it does seem like people are like the horror fans at least are aware of these movies and they're beloved at least in these communities.
Yeah, I think at least my experience was like I put myself in the horror pretty deep in the horror community with stuff.
Sure.
But I think, when Hooper's always one of those guys you put up there with like if you do a Mount Rushmore of horror directors, it's him, John Carpenter, Wes Craven, and George Romero usually. So I think there has always been that Tobe Hooper deserves more credit. Like, and I agree with that too, because like when I was doing research for Poltergeist, I'd get on Reddit just kind of see what people were thinking. And the amount of times I saw Tobe Hooper is a one-hit wonder, that's why we know he didn't direct Poltergeist. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah, it's not really fair to him. It's just not true.
No, like, I mean, does it suck to have your career start with like one of the greatest horror movies ever made? Sure, that sucks, but I mean, the same thing happened to Carpenter. The difference was Carpenter kind of I think we talked about that last time. He kind of paved his own path of made shit he wanted to make for a lot of his
Sure,
career. And I think
sure.
it kept him kind of in the spotlight for that. But like a lot of these guys did. I mean, I think Craven could have had that argument until he had Scream.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, like I mean, sure we talk about Last House on Left, but is that much different than some of like the stuff below Texas Chainsaw Massacre for Hooper? I wouldn't think so. I mean, Hills Have Eyes, Last House on the Left, sure they're important, but a lot of people don't watch those either.
Right. Right. Um, this we haven't talked about Dan O'Bannon, so I do want to at least mention
Ah,
so
works with the
um
Carpenter connection since we got Dark. What is that fucking movie? Dark Star. There we
there
go.
you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is probably most well known for his a lot of the special effects stuff. So he's
Yeah.
a he directed Return of the Living Dead, which is an
One of
awesome,
my favorite movies.
yeah, it's awesome. And in fact, if we're
He's
talking,
technically the writer on another one of my favorite films, and he didn't actually write it, which is Dead and Buried. I assume you've seen that one, right?
that's a really great movie too.
Yeah, he's even admitted he did not write it. They used his name because he turned in a script for it and they didn't use it.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Super interesting. Yeah. I mean, he wrote
An
the
Alien.
screenplay for Alien. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Dan O'Bannon is weirdly, I would say, another kind of underappreciated guy in a lot of ways because I think like his sci-fi work is just so strong.
Yes.
And he did so many different things. Like you think about like was he the only writer? Was he the writer on Life Force?
He was the writer of Life Force. It had
Had a
another
few.
creditor, had well, at least two. Yeah, I don't know who Dan Jacoby is. But that's it did have Dan Jacobi listed on there as well.
Oh, he wrote vampires. I do love vampires and
Darkoverse.
arachnophobia. Okay, cool.
Arachnophobia is a fun one.
And
Um,
Olaf Pooley, who did a whole lot of nothing besides Life Force, and Michael Armstrong, who did a bunch of shit I've never heard of, and Life Force.
yeah.
So,
But like he's a hyper talented guy, and I think this one and Invaders from Mars were both written by Dan O'Bannon.
yes, yes, him and I think Dan Jacoby or Don Jacoby. Let me start. Are both listed. So, oh, and did Death Wish 3. Man, I'm getting all sorts of connections today. He was apparently one of the writers of Death Wish 3.
Nice.
But yeah, yeah. So it looks like they worked together on these two movies for canon with Hooper. So that's kind of an interesting thing to think about because I know we haven't gotten to Invaders of Mars yet, but those are really different movies to have the same writer and director on them from one to the next.
Yeah, that's true.
Like there's something like very adult, and not just because Matilda May is naked in the whole thing, but like just in general, like it just feels like you're not going to get a bunch of 15-year-olds who are really going to appreciate Life Force. Where Invader from Mars, I can see that as almost a gateway thing.
Um, yeah, okay, fine, fine. I'm with you. I wanna spend some time defending. I know we're this episode's running a bit long. I appreciate everybody who stuck around. I do want to spend some time defending Invaders from Mars, but not that you're saying anything wrong with it, but I think it actually is a I liked it a lot more than I was expecting to.
Oh, I did
Um,
too. Yeah, no shade to Invaders from Mars. It was fun.
yeah, it was a fun one. But let's see, what else is to say about Life Force?
I mean, it's just I had a thought. We were talking about Dan O'Bannon, and I think it's one where that strength of that sci-fi element really comes in. Like I love the beginning of the film. You know, when you see like how well that's shot for the era it's shot in, and the fact that you couldn't hide wires back then. You had to like do camera trickery to hide them and things like that. Hey, if nothing shows how like technically talented Hooper is, I don't know what does. I mean, he's shooting this on 70 millimeter. He's getting massive sets. He obviously used the money well. Like this looks like an expensive picture.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, I've seen people who have been given a lot more money who've made shittier looking films. And for a guy who, with a lot of stuff Poltergeist accused of, not being able to run a set, I would say this is an exhibit of he obviously knows how to run a set pretty well.
I think if there's one thing I would want to people to come out of this whole series on Tobe Hooper with, it's just that point. Like like this man may not be a household name outside of Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well as like Spielberg is or something, but he can compete with any of the well-known directors in terms of skill and competency.
Yeah, because I mean, you think about like he's shooting 16 millimeter with Texas Chainsaw. He's shooting on the smallest available commercial film
Mhm.
stock,
Mhm.
and now he's shooting on the biggest. And 70 millimeter is heavy. It is a heavy stock with a heavy camera.
Right.
And he still gets gold out of it. Like I
Yeah.
think I think we take it for granted now because everything's done digitally to a point, unless you're Nolan or Tarantino, you're mostly shooting on digital now. That I think we don't appreciate like when you get a chance to work at these different stocks in this era. That's a studio putting a lot of trust into you. 70 millimeter stock ain't cheap.
Oh
You
yeah.
can't waste it. If you mess it up, you've wasted a lot of money.
Right. Right. Do you Yeah, I'm just thinking of like if speaking of the fact that he's somebody who can be trusted, if there's any knock on this, what do you think about the special effects in Life Force?
I love them. Like, I mean, obviously, like I think about just how like we talked about spectacle, and like the one thing that didn't feel like Hooper in Poltergeist was spectacle, but he can do big. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't call it spectacle. Like it's interesting to like when they go through the the ship near the asteroid at the beginning, and you see this, and you see like how well the sets are designed, and you see how you see these characters flying through what looks like space, and it looks so good.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't call it spectacle. Like I don't know how else to define it though. Like I feel like spectacle is trying to be big and epic in a way, while this is big and epic in a way, but not like showing off. Like it's not showing itself off, I guess is the best way I can think of it. Like
You
it's
know, I
very
was thinking,
matter of fact in how it shoots itself.
yeah, I think that's a good way of saying it. It's a very like workman sort of just like, well, it's needed for it's part of the story. Like we need to do this.
It needs to be big because we're in space.
Yeah, right.
Like yeah, it needs like we all saw 2001. We need to be big. We're in
Ah,
space.
right, right. Um,
And I mean, I think this is one of these films where I think it only grows in appreciation the more you watch it. Like
mm,
it's one of these movies where I could see myself turning it on in a year or two again and like thinking even more highly of it because there's not a lot I find wrong with it. Even the longer runtime I think is good for the film. Like I think he really takes his time with what he's doing. And I mean, this is supposed to be apocalyptic. It's supposed to have this big scale to it, but it never feels like it's unwieldy.
I mean that I'm so glad you brought that up. I had that on my mental notes of something I wanted to talk about. All of his movies to me are like infinitely rewatchable.
Yeah, because I feel like I pick things up every time I watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
I could easily turn on any of the ones we watched for the podcast again right now, even the Funhouse that I've already seen twice in the last 3 weeks. Like I could easily put it on again right now. There's something about his movies that are like I think they feel a little bit. I don't know if this is true for Life Force. Maybe Life Force is good for a different reason, but a lot of his earlier movies they feel a little bit unsafe, and like that keeps me kind of like glued in. Because it just feels like the world's just about to break, like something bad's about to, like he's very good at creating that like pending dread.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and I'm trying to sit here what I think I'd compare it to. And
you know,
go ahead. No, you have a thought better than I do right now.
oh, I don't know if that's true, but in a weird way, he reminds me of Hanukkah in the sense of he can build that suspense in a way that very few directors can. They're coming at it from two different, very different approaches as far as filmmakers go. But Hanukkah's big thing is suspense. And I can almost feel like Hooper's just an expert at like using environment and ambiance and foreshadowing and like all these literary techniques to like build that naturally.
Yeah, and I think, and I mean, I kind of talked about this a minute ago. It's just kind of amazing to watch these and just realize how much control he has over what he wants out of these films. Like,
Yeah.
you look at Poltergeist and Life Force, they're very different movies. Uh, but he has like so much control over both of them of what he wants out of them.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
I think that's been every movie we've seen so far. Even if I wasn't big on eggshells, I can't sit here and say the dude didn't have control over what he wanted.
yeah. No, I fully agree. Eggshells is probably the one I couldn't watch all the time. But
It's interesting, but
yeah,
not one. That's about Hooper at his most art house, I would
yeah,
say.
for sure.
Because I that's
Um,
the thing with Life Force too. Like if I was going to get somebody into more like art house horror and they didn't want to just like do the more modern A24 or neon stuff, I would actually just say go with Life Force if you want to see what like a vibey little artsy horror film looks like with a big budget, but still have like still be fun. I
yeah,
was like Life Force is that. Like
yeah,
it's kind of what it would be an A24 film if it was made 40 years later.
totally. Yeah. Or yeah, or neon, one of those.
Yeah,
I totally
some
agree.
one of those little studios that would be willing to put the money behind it, which is even they don't probably wouldn't fucking put 70 millimeter behind it.
Right. Well, speaking of remakes is a perfect segue into the next film. Is there anything else on Life Force?
No, I think I'm good. I'm good to move on.
So 1986 Invaders from Mars comes out, and it's a remake of a 1953 drive-in special, also called Invaders from Mars. Um,
Which have you
the
seen the original? I guess that's worth noting, right?
I have not.
I have not either. Okay, so this was my first experience
It
as well.
yeah, it's a beloved movie. So Joe Dante, Steven Spielberg, and Scorsese have all come out saying it was a childhood favorite. So it's probably worth a watch at some point. But I think it's very much one of these movies of like shot on a studio, talk heavy, like we're in space kind of, but we're on the back lot of a studio.
And I do wonder if because I kind of felt this one felt very Invasion of the Body Snatchers for a lot of reasons, but
Yeah.
that's just like the feel it gave for me, especially because I watched the Don Siegel one
Hmm.
earlier this month. I
Hmm.
wonder if the original is like that because I'm like that actually came out. That would have been I think 2 years before Don Siegel's Invasion of the Body Snatchers would have came out, and I feel like they share a lot of like thematics and tropes.
Um, they well, I think he pulls from a lot of like the golden era of science fiction, or like the that Americana kind of science fiction that was
Yeah.
there in the 50s. Like I think he pulls a lot from that, right? Like it almost feels like a love letter to that. I love
Yeah, I think that's kind of interesting because that's how I would describe Life Force as well, but they are so different. Like
yeah.
pulling from both of those.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, Life Force is more like Star Trekky almost. And
That and like what like Vincent Guest. Like is that his name? The one who did Quatermass?
no, no, hold on, now you got me. No, Vincent Price, right?
Vincent Price didn't direct it.
Oh, you're talking about the director. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know the director of Quartermass.
Yeah. He directed a lot of 50s sci-fi at the time, so that's where my mind went to.
Okay, I got you. Val Guest.
Val Guest, not Vincent Guest. Val Guest. Thank you.
No, it's okay. Yeah. I don't actually know that name. I have a big blind spot when it comes to sci-fi I'm not a huge fan of that genre, to be honest. But Invaders from Mars is a modern retelling of it with special effects by Stan Winston, who's like the GOAT,
Yeah, Stan Winston's great.
and John Dykstra, both from the Star Wars team. And Stan Winston's gone on to just do everything. But yeah, like it's a movie that was another bomb, unfortunately. But again, the VHS thing is super interesting for me. I'm really glad you brought that up. 7 million budget, 5 million in the box office, and then I guess whatever they made from VHS sales. The other thing that was happening around this time, which is probably relevant to both Life Force and Invaders, was they were pre-selling movies a lot of times, right?
Right.
So you could make your money back before the movie was even finished a lot of times, which is good. So
Kind of
like,
like today's era of like shooting in some random country that'll say, please shoot here. We will pay you everything.
sure, like
Yeah.
yeah, tax free, and like we'll give you a crew and all this kind of stuff. 2564, and they shoot zombies, so not as beloved, and not on these shoot pictures.
I, it's in a weird spot. You're in between Life Force and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Mhm.
That's a weird spot to be in as a movie.
And but it's like that weird thing where I think it's a throwback to a genre that was not topical anymore, right? Like you're always
Yeah.
going to have your fans of that like classic sci-fi, but it's not mainstream in 1986 for sure.
It's a bygone era. Nobody, I mean, which is kind of funny. I'm actually curious. Did the Blob come out this year? What year did the Blob come out?
Like the remake.
Yeah, 88. So the Blob comes out 2 years later. Um, which I guess kind of fits, right? Because the original, which we've talked about on this podcast, came out in like the 50s.
Oh yeah, for
58.
sure.
Yeah, 58.
And this was 53, so kind of it's pulling from this very similar projects, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah, maybe it was a little early, or just like the Blob is just the exception to that. I'm not sure how to really look at that because that's kind of a weird. The Blob is weird. It's just kind of in a weird place.
But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be. Are you saying it's weird because it was so successful?
Yeah, like I mean, at least it was a cult success. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah,
people.
yeah.
I know more people have seen the remake of the Blob than the original, but I don't know who's seen more between the original and the remake of Invaders from Mars. I couldn't tell you that if I even tried. I'd have no
Yeah.
way to guess that.
No, that's an interesting point. It's almost like 12 Angry Men. Like everybody's seen the one with uh, what is the grumpy old man, Walter Matthau and Jack hold on. What's that guy's name? Um
Henry Fonda.
no, 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 no.
Okay.
Jack Lemmon.
Oh, okay, okay.
Jack Lemmon. Everybody's seen the. I think more people have seen the. Like I think when people think of 12 Angry Men, unless they're film buffs, which of course they've, but like the average person is going to be thinking of the made-for-TV one that came out because it's that William Friedkin one, and it's really good.
Is that the
It's
one with Tony Soprano, James
yeah,
Gandolfini?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
he's in it,
James,
right?
yeah. Tony Danza, Edward James Olmos, Ozzie Davis, George C. Scott. Like it's got a. I mean, it's an amazing cast.
Everybody's gonna know we didn't have much to say on Invaders from Mars when we start talking about the TV remake of 12 Angry
Okay, okay, okay.
Men.
Before, fair enough. The, I will say this though. I think it's underappreciated because the basic premise of the film is that it's a very 80s premise. There's this kid that nobody believes who's seeing things, and his parents get fucked up, and he's got to like go on this quest to convince like the police and the FBI and the, I don't know, like his school counselor, like
Here's
he,
Karen Black.
yeah,
Sure.
his Karen Black, yeah,
He
like
gets to
he's
hang
got
out with
to
Karen
go.
Black the whole movie. He's fine.
Yeah, she's awesome in this. But like he's got to go convince them all that something weird is happening. It's got Harold from Harold and Maude in there as one of the
Yeah, it
helpers.
does. Yeah.
Um, but like it's not an amazing movie. I'm not going to sit here and say like this is his best one or anything. But I do think the time really flies by for me when I was watching this. And I think Karen Black is obviously she's a very good actor. But it just is like for me, one I was talking earlier about how I don't really love 50s sci-fi. Like I can't, I'm just not naturally drawn to it, because Vinegar Syndrome's kind of putting out some of these,
Right.
or they're also putting out some of the studio horror movies like the Hammer films. And I struggle with them a bit. I'm gonna be honest. Like the set based, talk heavy, um, a bunch of people, walking around and smoking a cigar and talking about things that can, like, not not super compelling for me. But this remake, I think it does a really, for me, it hits a different sweet spot of mine, which is that weird micro genre subgenre of like kids that are given an irrational set of responsibility and pressure, and like just don't even really fully understand how that the weight of the world is like on their shoulders. They just kind of keep pushing ahead and like getting help and doing whatever
Yeah.
needs to get done.
And that really comes out to me. I'm glad I just realized that Dan O'Bannon wrote this, and of course, he does Return of the Living Dead. And the guy who's like the general or the big military guy that's in like halfway through the film,
Uh-huh.
that's one of the leads in Return of the Living Dead. It's
Uh-huh.
Frank.
Uh-huh.
I just realized that I didn't put that together till just now. But like the reason I brought that up was because like I remember sitting there watching. I'm like, these military dudes are actually listening to this child.
Right,
They're
right.
actually listening to him, and I'm kind of impressed.
That's a very, I think that's a very specific thing in the 80s, right? Like,
Yeah, like don't worry, kids, you can do anything.
yeah, like E.T. was the big one, Flight of the Navigator, but like even just stuff like The Wizard, that video game movie where the kid's brother was like this kind of
Yeah,
savant. Like they traveled across the entire country without parents and like entered into a gaming tournament by themselves. Like that plot is hilarious. Like you, but there's a very specific time in the 80s where nobody would have ever even blinked at that. It would have been like, oh, cool, look at all the stuff this kid is doing.
Well, that was the era of if I don't see you in a few days, I guess I'll try to figure out where you are.
Exactly.
Like I was in the era of please just come back at some point today.
Oh, I know, man. I mean, that was my childhood for sure. Like
Yeah, like
I
I don't care if you're going out, just come back.
no, they never knew where I was on any given day, 100%.
Yeah.
Like I took my bike and I was like, I'm gonna go play with friends. And that was like that's not a location, that's not a quadrant. Like, there's no
No parent would do that today. Be like, I'm gonna go hang out where? I don't know. Wherever we end up, we're gonna go play at the old quarry and find a dead body, I
yeah,
guess.
possibly save the world if aliens come in. I don't
Yeah,
know.
whatever pops up.
We'll
Very
figure something.
appropriate with Stranger Things just coming out.
Right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Or the Goonies isn't it? Anyways, so
It's very 80s. It's weird. I think there is an interesting connection between the 50s and the 80s now that I kind of think about it.
maybe there's something in this about the 80s was the first time we started having nostalgia for like a previous generation of film and TV.
I think there is some of that because like you look at I'm trying to look just to make sure I get the years right. I'm trying to look when Stand By Me came out. And that's a movie that's heavily 50s nostalgic. That comes out in 86.
Yeah,
And that's
same
a
same year.
heavy 50s nostalgia
True,
piece.
true.
And the same year as Invaders from Mars. So I think it's kind of like what we deal with now with 80s nostalgia. I think the 80s had 50s nostalgia.
Okay, I like that. Yeah. And this movie fits perfectly within that, like something, whether it was intentional or whether it was subconscious, but it fits perfectly within.
And I'm kind of interested because you brought up ET, and kind of the thought I had when watching Invaders from Mars is I was like, this is almost what I would expect if Hooper had wrote Poltergeist, what it would look closer to.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, because it shows and if there's an exhibit that he can do kind of these like fun, lighthearted Spielbergian type movies. I think Invaders from Mars fits that well.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think Dan O'Bannon probably fits his personality better.
They have it. I would say that I would almost say him and Dan O'Bannon have a very similar sense of humor.
Yeah, humor, that's right. And like Alien, it's a very dangerous movie. Like there's a lot of um like the characters are put into situations where they could easily die.
Yeah,
There's absolutely no guarantee they're going to come out of that. And so I think I don't know. Yeah, I think they're a nice, that those two are a nice pair.
yeah, and
Um,
it's kind of sad they didn't do more together.
I know.
Well, Dan O'Bannon didn't do enough in his career, in all honesty. Like I look at his like really short filmography, and I'm like, that's so sad.
Yeah.
Dude wrote lots of great shit.
Well, speaking of long filmographies, we've got 3 episodes left.
Yes, we do.
Um, we had initially the initial list that you sent me went from TCM2, which is 86, to Night Terrors, which is 93. If we want to keep that up, that includes 1 episode of Amazing Stories, 1 episode of Equalizer, 1 episode of Freddy's Nightmare, 1 episode of Haunted Lives, and Tales from the Crypt.
Jesus Christ, I forgot he started doing a lot of TV at this era.
But those are going to be short,
Short,
right?
yeah,
Like,
those won't take long.
so it would
Um,
be, yeah. What are the movies in that category if we want to keep that?
I mean, it's kind of an interesting list coming up because obviously TCM2 is going to be the big one. But we get some John Carpenter, we get some Anthony Perkins. I don't even know what the fuck Night Terrors is. What is that? Who's even Robert England's in that? Oh, that'll be kind of an interesting connection anyway, since we're going to be Freddy's Nightmares, and Robert England is the main character in Night Terrors.
Yikes, 3.6. Okay, these are the kind of movies that I usually end up loving. So,
Yeah, then we'll get to the Mangler, which we'll get to talk about. We'll take a break from talking about Stephen King for one episode, and then get to come back. And what the hell is spontaneous combustion again? I forgot which one. Oh, Brad Dourif. Man, the dude worked with so many good people.
yeah,
This is the era he's working with really good actors, but no one's heard of these movies.
yeah, I can't wait for Spontaneous Combustion and Night Terrors. Yeah, and then after that, okay, yeah, we're into a phase of his career that's I don't. We'll probably be one of 300 people that have seen some of these.
Oh, no doubt. I don't even. I still don't even. I've looked up Dark Skies 5 times, and I still don't know what the hell it is.
Well, anyways, we'll have some fun. Man, I just can't I can't thank you enough for this run. Like I've said this sometimes, and I hate to sound like I'm old and cynical, but it's just kind of hard to surprise me anymore. Like, I know what I like, and it's fun to discover movies that I like, but it's very difficult to be surprised now. And Tobe Hooper is a surprisingly great director, not even good. Like I really like his stuff.
Oh yeah, I have too. And I mean, I came into this with a little under half of his stuff watched, but the stuff I haven't watched has just been a lot of fun. Like I would have probably. I don't know when I would have got to Invaders from Mars, so I'm glad I'm being forced to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Did we talk about they shoot pictures and zombies and all that from?
I don't think. I think you said it wasn't. I think you told me it wasn't on picture. So yes, we did.
Yeah, we did.
I
Yeah,
think everything else was on picture except for this one.
that's right. And he's got a few more coming up on pictures, including spontaneous combustion. So let's see how
Hey, cool.
and the Mangler. So
Yeah, next week you'll get to hear us talk about Leatherface, the real one. We'll get to talk one with Chucky, one with Norman Bates, and one with Freddy Krueger. So that's an interesting lineup coming up.
hell yeah, cool. Well, man, can't wait to get into the next one, Zach. Thanks for doing this.
All right, thank you. I hope everybody has a good night.
See you, man.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, please select the link in the description.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror, we'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.